Segment tonight, a new poll by the Pew Research Company taken among Muslims all over the world puts forth the following. Almost half the Muslim world supports radical groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, which use violence. Al-Qaeda, less popular, but almost half the Muslims in Nigeria, for example, think it's fine. Strong majorities in Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, and Nigeria favor Sharia law, stoning for adultery, amputation for theft, and death for those who convert from Islam to another religion. As you know, we believe there is a Muslim problem in the world because there's a deep chasm, right, between many who practice Islam and modern society. Joining us now to analyze, Mary Catherine Ham and Juan Williams, both are in Washington. So Juan, you know, when the Pew Research poll came out today, Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg walked off the set of The View. Did you know that?
No, I missed that part.
Yeah,
you weren't there.
It's a Muslim problem in the world. Now, all you have to do, Juan, is just look at one stat, and one stat only. The majority of people in the Muslim world polled think that people should be killed, Muslims should be killed, if they convert to Catholicism and Judaism or any other religion. Tell me there's no Muslim problem in the world?
No, I mean, that's madness. And I tell you, you know, to me, the most unacceptable part is when you look and you see numbers that indicate that people embrace terrorist organizations like Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda in high numbers. Now, it's interesting to me, you see in highest numbers in places like Nigeria, far away from the Middle East, but once you get into places like Egypt and Lebanon, then that kind of acceptance just goes right away. So it tells you something, Bill. And what I think it tells you is that people who have immediate experience know that this is madness. And secondly, that in parts of the world where you have high levels of young men especially, unemployment, uneducated people, those people are the breeding grounds for terrorists and for, too often, dictators and monarchs, and again, too often supported by U.S. policy in the past because we wanted direct access to oil and the like. But those people have used strict religious tenets and Muslim tenets to, I think, keep those young men in line, and the result is those young men then become the
I don't disagree with that analysis, but the problem is a problem, Mary Catherine. When you have a majority of Muslims in the countries that I mentioned saying, look, you know, let's stone these people, let's cut their hands off, and we'll kill them if they're not good Muslims, I think that's a problem. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, the problem that you have to have a cutting off hand question or a shall we stone them question represents the gulf between the West and some of these Middle Eastern and Muslim countries, and that's the problem you hit when these two cultures clash, when folks immigrate and they don't assimilate to Western values. But I will say, to Juan's point, we're not just seeing a snapshot in some of these polls of what Muslims believe, but of what Muslims in very religious, closed authoritarian societies believe. So the more liberal the country, the more likely to be a Western ally, somebody like Turkey, the better numbers you see. So I think there's an underlying problem here.
Well, secularism always erodes that kind of thinking, but exactly. I'm not interested in going country by country. I'm interested in the overarch of a problem that I don't know if it's possible to solve. Look, in Pakistan, which the United States desperately needs to defeat the Taliban, in Pakistan, 85% of the population supports a law that separates men and women in the workplace, which means men and women could not work together and, of course, wouldn't earn the same amount of money. 85%. This is a problem in the world, Juan.
It's a huge problem, and it's intolerable. You know, as a father of a daughter, as Mary Catherine's friend, that's craziness. You can't treat women like that.
But they
and the
do,
U.S. should not
and
have
they
any
think
tolerance
it's
for it.
fine, and therefore, and then I'm roundly condemned in this country for pointing out what is reality. You know, and I think all Americans have got to wise up and figure it out.
No, but this is not all Muslims. I mean, getting back to Mary Catherine's point,
85% of a vital Muslim country.
Well, in that country, but Muslims in the United States,
I don't see that they believe that or practice that. It's a Muslim problem in the world. Okay, we need cooperation from law-abiding, clear-thinking Muslims to defeat the terror Muslims. And it isn't there, Mary Catherine, on any great level.
Right. I agree that there's a problem. I am interested in going country by country, largely because if you look at a place like Turkey, where there is a Western influence, where there is an adherence to Western values of some sort, you have better numbers, and you're sort of winning that fight in some places. Now, our goal is to protect places like that are more liberal from being overtaken by the illiberal folks.
We do.
And those are our allies.
Okay, but if you can do that till the day you die, and it's not going to change the predominant culture in the Muslim world, which says we want to go back 5,000 years and live the way we lived then, and we don't like the infidels who oppose us.
A lot of that culture has to do with the leaders, the despotic leaders in those countries, as Ron was mentioning, as I did earlier. It is a cultural problem. It's also a leadership problem being fed propaganda.
The folks embrace it. The folks are embracing it.
Yes, I know. Okay? But they're not getting different views or different TV shows to watch and make different decisions about this country. So that's important.
Bill, let's come to your point about how you change this, because I think that's the heart and soul of the matter. Yes, there is a problem. Is it a Muslim problem, or is it a problem with people who are unemployed, uneducated, and don't see any opportunity, and are being oppressed by some despot and somehow blame the U.S. because they collaborate with the despot? I think if you want to change it, we've got to say we're going to change our policy. It's not a matter of outreach or Obama giving nice speeches about Muslims. No, we got to do something about making sure those people get educated.
If you look at history, every country who has thrown off the yoke has done it themselves. The United States with Britain, and on and on. We can't do it for these folks. All right,
let them get an education. Let them get jobs.
You go over there with a little book and you teach them, okay? It's impossible. Yes. Mary Catherine Wan, thanks very much. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. Does actor-comedian Dennis Leary dislike America? He will be here. And then Bernie Goldberg on whether the feds are going to try to tell talk radio and cable news how to conduct themselves. We hope you stay tuned for those reports.